Okay, any questions from review? Kind of addressed some earlier. Typically when a fight starts from standing here, the punches coming from the bad guy are kind of hard to see and to know from which angle they're coming from. Now, what we're talking about today is a situation where the punch is so predictable, it comes from 8 feet away, it's a haymaker punch, and this is the strategy to defend. We come around here to a rear clinch, okay? So, different than kind of standing and trading blows, the bad guy telegraphs a punch. We see the right hand cocked back, he shuffle steps, I just duck, and I come through to the back and I hug from behind in a rear clinch, okay? So notice that I'm ducking and I'm letting the punch go right over my head. I'm doing that by dropping a level, keeping my knees bent, and I shuffle in. And I come around to the rear here, okay? Now, notice that my connection here is disconnected, okay? Unlike a front clinch where I'm very close, my hips are now back, okay? And I'm controlling in the front with an S grip. Everybody see that? So, let's talk about why we're doing those things. So, the haymaker punch comes in, freeze right here. Step 1, protect my face. So the outside hand is going to connect on my forehead. I'm going to bend at the knees. Essential detail, I bend at the knees and I let the punch go directly over my head. I shuffle in, 1, 2. Inside hand catches the hip, and I come around to the back side. Now, notice this S grip here. Why are we holding it like this? If I do the standard front clinch grab, I can get wrist locked, yes. It's also very difficult to control from here. However, this S grip, I'm hiding my fingers, and it eliminates small digit manipulation, okay? So, again, most common mistake right here is ineffective face protection. If I just kind of have, yes. If I don't connect the hand right here, and Chris makes contact, I can still get knocked out. If I don't drop, and I don't let the punch sail over the head, I can still get knocked out. So, it's important to squat, let the punch sail over the head, and I shuffle in, catching the hip with the inside hand. Everybody see how that's happening right here? So from the front, watch how this hip gets caught right here. 1, 2, catch the hip, spin around to the back side. Now my positioning of the elbow on the hip is like this. From here, the elbow catches the hip right here. So it gets caught in this little pocket. Because what I want to do is keep Chris from spinning around and facing me again. Because then we have to re-engage. So I'm just hugging right here, elbow connected at the hip, kind of pulling in right here, okay? And I just control, I'm like a parking brake. Take note of the head positioning right here. My head's just glued to the back. So I'm eliminating elbow strikes. If I do get hit, it's only with the fleshy part of the tricep. Cool. All right, Chris's turn. So, bad guy reminder, remember to telegraph the punch from about 8 feet away and aim for the head so as to make it a realistic move. So, punch comes back, Chris connects the hand to the head, he drops a level, catches the hip, spins around to the back, controls 3 to 5 seconds. Good. Okay, solo demo. So we're here, punch comes from about 8 feet away. I protect my face, drop down a level, shuffle in, 1, 2, catch the hip, spin around to the back side, S grip, feet back, control for 3 to 5 seconds. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, so we're going to start about 8 feet away. Bad guy, throw the haymaker punch, conduct 1 repetition, then switch roles. Make sure you're going slow. Bad guys, remember to aim for the head, but don't go too crazy right now, okay? If you've had class number 7, triangle, go and step off the wall, please. Kelly, you the man. Go and pair up with Frank, and we'll get going. Cool? Okay, Chris, would you lay down right here, please? Start with the mount. So in a future lesson, we're going to talk about why getting to the mount is a very advantageous position. Just understand it's very dominant for the person on top. Because if we're talking simply about striking, I can strike and the bad guy cannot retaliate. Now, in a future lesson, we're going to talk about various control strategies to exhaust our opponent and finally submit them from this top position here. However, if we are in a fight with someone who's bigger, stronger, more athletic, it's possible that we might miss one of our controls and the bad guy can grab us and throw us off the top of the fight, and we end on the bottom. Now, this is not a problem if we use the closed guard, which is this. My legs are crossed around Chris's torso. I'm controlling his posture by hugging his head, and I'm protecting against punches by hugging this arm right here. My head is very close. Notice from here, he cannot punch me in the face. This is what's known as stage 1 of the punch block series. We're going to come back in a future lesson and talk about various punch neutralization strategies from this position. But right now, we're going to talk about a submission opportunity that arises when they do try to punch, and that's called the triangle choke from the guard, okay? So let's do the stage 1.5 variation right here, okay? Triangle choke, okay? We're going to do some reverse engineering tonight. We're going to talk about the final position right here, okay? So just so everyone understands what's happening in this choke, this is a carotid artery choke. One leg right here, my leg, is blocking this artery, and this Chris's arm, his own arm, is blocking his other artery. And this is causing unconsciousness. It's blocking blood flow to the brain, okay? We're going to come back and talk about how to get to this position right here. Notice that for the triangle choke to happen, one of Chris's arms is inside of my legs and one arm is outside of my legs, okay? So we're going to talk about this first position right here. This is called the triangle setup. So, first thing to do, bring the arm across. Move my body away, pull down on my leg, lock them together, and apply pressure, okay? So again, from the triangle setup position, to get this arm across, I like to extend my hips up and then clear the arm across. Outside hand hugs from here. Other hand goes to the head. My legs can uncross. From here, foot goes on the hip. I walk away. Tight bite on the neck right here. I grab my own shin. The foot that's on the hip now steps over and triangles my leg. Okay? Now, I'm trying to be nice to Chris. The triangles get pretty tight, okay? So, again, arm across. Secure the wrist here. My legs should be crossed. If my legs are not crossed, very common mistake, if I don't maintain head control when I uncross the legs, Chris just sits up and the entire move is lost, all right? So, it's essential that at every point in this move, you either have head control or your legs are crossed around the back. Otherwise, you're not preventing any kind of posture from the bad guy. So again, clear the arm across. You can also push here, outside hand on the elbow. I'm just kind of pushing across. Make sure that when you get this across the center line here, the elbow, secure the wrist right here, okay? From here, hand goes to the head, legs uncrossed, foot goes on the hip. Does everybody understand why the foot goes on the hip? If I put the foot on the ground to create some distance, Chris just continues to go with me and there's no choke. However, if I put the foot on the hip, that keeps Chris in position right here. And the reason that I'm moving out is because I need to position myself such that my leg and his arm are choking him. And I do that by moving my body north towards you guys while I keep Chris in position right here. So again, clear the arm across, hand goes to the head, feet uncross. Foot goes on the hip right here. Move my body away. Now, tight bite right here. Vacuum seal on my leg on the neck. Hand grabs my shin, and I pull my own shin close to me to try to get it perpendicular across Chris's neck. Then from here, I lock up the triangle, okay? I'm gonna do a partial lockup right now so Chris can kind of breathe down there because I wanna talk about final pressures. You okay? Mm-hmm. So from here, there's 3 pressures that create the triangle choke. My legs squeezing together, pulling down on the head, and elevating my hips. All 3 at the same time create the choke. Okay? Let's switch. Gotta give Chris a break. So again, we're talking about triangle setup. One arm in the party, one arm out of the party. From here, Chris brings the arm across. Windshield wipers, yes. When he clears it, he secures with a human grip. Full grip right here, okay? Now, hand goes to the head. His legs can now uncross. Does everybody understand? Once he holds the head, he's eligible to uncross his legs because now I cannot sit up. foot goes on the hip, he wiggles his body away. Yes, tight bite with the leg. He pulls in on his shin, and he locks up his legs in the triangle. Yes, and 3 points of pressure right there. Everyone can verify the legitimacy of their choke by just tapping your partner with the thigh squeeze today, okay? You don't necessarily need to pull down on the head, and you don't need to necessarily elevate the hips either. If you can tap your partner with thigh pressure, that means you're in the right position, okay? So again, we're starting in the triangle setup position. One arm in, one arm out. From here, clear the arm across, secure here. Hand goes to the head, foot on the hip. I'm going on the ground right now because we're doing a solo demonstration. Work the body away, tight bite with the leg. Hand goes to my shin and I pull it close right here. Notice that I'm leaving a little landing spot for my leg, okay? If I grab my shin right here at my ankle and I attempt to lock up the triangle right there, there's not a lot of room. So I grab at the middle of my shin, pull it nice and tight, and from here the foot that was on the hip now triangles my legs together. Then from here, thigh squeeze, head pull, and hip elevation for the choke. Again, everyone just work on the thigh squeeze right now, all right? Any questions on triangle choke? Okay, so let's start in the triangle setup position. Conduct 1 repetition, go very slow. Make sure that the bad guy is verifying that you can't sit up at any point, because that's what really kind of connects this move together. You got to have that closeness and that control at all times, preventing the posture, okay? All right, let's play with that. Rolling? All right. Any questions from basic triangle finish, stage 1.5 setup? Okay. Now that we know how to finish the triangle, let's talk about how we get there from the closed guard, stage 1 of the punch block series. Now, in a future lesson, we're going to talk about the entire punch block series. We're going to give you an abbreviated breakdown of it right now. We're just going to talk about stage 1 to stage 2, all right? Now, stage 1, we already talked about in the first slice. I'm hugging the head, and I'm controlling the arm here, okay? Let's rotate. So I'm just kind of hugging this arm right here, and my head's close. From here, it's very, very difficult for Chris to punch me in the face. It's just not happening. There's no angle. Now, when he realizes that he cannot punch me in the face, what is he going to do? He's going to realize that there's all these ribs right here that he can attack. So the arm's going to come back very slowly, and if I don't address that, I'm going to get punched in the ribs right here. So what I do to prevent that punch from happening, as it comes back, the hand that's holding the head comes through, the knee comes in, and I block right here. So the hand that was hugging the head now is grabbing the tricep, and my knee is in position right here. Other hand switches to the head. From here, the other punch is going to come in, and I do the same thing on the other side. Now we're in stage 2, okay? So when I say 1.5, stage 1.5, we're not in stage 1, we're not in stage 2, we're right in between. So we are right here. The punch comes through, stage 1.5, okay? Does everybody see now that I'm starting to isolate one arm and get it out of the party? From here, this is how we finish the triangle. This is what it looks like. Cool. Let's break that down. So again, punch comes through, I switch head control, and I control this arm right here. Hugging the tricep, extending away with the leg, okay? Now to get this arm out of the party, I slide down to the wrist, I extend away with my leg, and I step over the shoulder. Now we're in the triangle setup position. Now from here, Chris can still be punching, so I gotta be aware of that. I control this by framing right here. Both of my arms are just kind of flared out right here into the bicep, and I extend away with my hips. So Chris can't even really reach my face. Chris has incredibly long arms, and I have really short legs, and Chris is still having a difficult time reaching my face. That shows you the effectiveness of this position. Now, even if he does reach my face, I can still protect against the punch right here. There's no way he's reaching across. So, maintain that awareness. Try to throw some distraction punches as the bad guy when you're in this position to verify the legitimacy of this position right here. Now, from here, when that punch comes across, I can allow the energy to pass through. and I secure here, and we're almost home. From here, hand goes to the head, foot on the hip, walk, 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 tight bite, boom, pull it in, and choke, okay? One more time. So, we're gonna talk about this in the punch block class, but a very important detail right here is to make sure that I'm maintaining that head control at all times. It's kind of the same philosophy of the triangle, right? We wanna make sure that our opponent can't sit up and go away. Because notice, when Chris goes to throw this stage 1.5 punch, if I don't control the head right here, he can still sit up and go home. So, yes, when I transfer to control this arm, I have to control and switch my head control right here, so he still can't set up. Now from here, the hand that's holding the tricep is gonna slide down to the hand, to the wrist right here, and I'm gonna extend away with my leg, again. And then I hold the wrist in position right there, retract my leg, and I step through over the shoulder. Yes. And Chris cannot sit up right here because my legs are crossed around the back, okay? Most common mistake is not locking up the legs immediately when I step over that shoulder, because Chris gets up and goes home. Now from here, punches are gonna come in again. I protect, I let one swim through, and I control the wrist right here. One more time, hand on the head, walk away, tight bite, wrap, and go. Okay? Switch. So, essential detail in this entire scenario is making sure that you maintain the head control. If you lose head control, nothing else matters, okay? From here, I'm gonna try to punch Chris in the face. Nothing's happening, because stage 1 is too good. I'm gonna slowly bring the arm back for a stage 2 punch, and Chris controls, maintaining my posture, his posture control right here. From here, he's gonna extend away with the leg, slide down to the wrist, and he's going to retract his leg, push my arm back, and step through, locking up the legs immediately. Most common mistake right here is not locking up the legs immediately, okay? So, legs are locked, and Chris is ready for the punches from this position. I was already trying to punch him in stage 1. Why am I gonna stop punching him now? I'm still trying to punch, reach for the face, he just controls, and he's gonna let one sail by, extending away, yes. I'm doing the work for him. I'm clearing the arm across. He controls here, holds the wrist, hand goes to the head, foot on the hip, shoulder walk away, 1, 2, 3, tight bite, grabs his shin, locks up the triangle, thigh squeeze, head pressure, and hip elevation. Excellent. Cool, so we're here, stage 1 of the punch block series. Controlling the head, controlling the arm. Punch comes in, everything switches, okay? Holding the head, holding the arm from here. Slide down to the wrist, extend away, retract the leg, step over the shoulder, lock up the legs immediately. From here, protect against punches. If one comes through, windshield wiper across, control right here. Hold the wrist. From here, with the hand on the head, foot goes on the hip, shoulder walk away, tight bite, grab the shin, pull it in, lock up the triangle, and obviously the 3 points of pressure. Pulling down on the head, thigh squeeze, and hip elevation. Any questions on that or any details?
It is possible. Sometimes you guys get to here and your leg's too long. You can't step through the arm right there. It's okay. Just go around the world. So watch what I do right here. Once I slide to the wrist, I straighten my leg, pin his hand to his chest, and I step over the top. And we achieve the same objective with triangle setup position right here. Cool. So either one is legit.
Cool. Kelly, do you have a question?
That was it right there. You
read your
read my mind.
Yeah, I'm psychotic. That's how I know these things.
Psychotic. I think it means psychic.
Yeah, same thing. I'm bulimic.
You could read minds.
All right, any questions on that, guys? Okay, so again, we're gonna start in closed guard, stage 1 of the punch block series. Bring that rib punch in, and then establish stage 1.5. Work the triangle from there. Any questions? We'll address them on the mat. Okay? Cool. Cool. Any questions from stage 1.5 variation of the triangle? Let's talk about another eventuality. Suppose our opponent is so large that we can't finish the triangle however we were doing it just now. Or if they're so large, they're just driving their weight into us, they're a giant. So we have the giant killer variation. So, indicator. Bad guy very big, driving the weight into me. Pinch the legs, extend away with the legs. Hands on the head, move my body away, control this wrist. From here, step over the shoulder, lock up the triangle. So, to extend away, I pinch my legs together, and tightening my core, I extend away with my body. That gets Chris back on his heels. Both of my hands on the side of the head, okay? Now from here, legs uncross, foot goes on the ground, big hip out, boom. Arms staying straight. From here, feet on the hips, 1, 2, yes. Bad guy's gonna keep driving into me. I grab the wrist right here. Then from here, I step over the shoulder, and then the triangle's already there. Cool. Reverse angle. Now, I extend away with the legs, pinch here. Notice, my hands, when they go on the head right here, my arms are bent. Now, if I try to push Chris away with bent arms, if he's a giant, he can resist that all day. But if my arms are straight, I have anatomical strength, and it's very difficult for him to charge into me. So to achieve that lengthening of the arms, my foot goes on the ground, and I hip away. Watch how my arms lengthen out as I do this. Boom. That's why it's essential to get a big hip out right here. I want to hip out so much that my arms extend to their full lockout position right here. Now from here, there's no way Chris can just drive into me. I'm going to keep him at bay all day. Now from here, the foot that's on the ground goes on the hip, other foot goes on the hip, and I keep him at bay with my hip, with the feet on the hips now. From here, once my feet are on the hips, my hands that were on the head go to the wrist. Now from here, yes, Chris is going to keep driving into me. There's no way he can do that for now. And from here, the foot that's on the opposite side of the arm is going to step over the shoulder. I'm going to lock up the triangle right here. And again, we have our 3 points of pressure. Okay? Switch. So, bad guy behavior right now. Bad guy behavior, driving the weight into the opponent. From here, Chris is going to pinch his legs, extend his body away. Both hands go to the head. Foot goes on the ground. Big hip out right here. Yes. Foot on the hip immediately. Now, bad guy behavior right now, I'm going to keep driving into Chris because I want to do what? I want to punch him. So I'm driving. When Chris is ready, he steps off the shoulder, opposite the side of the hand. Yes. Locks up the triangle. Very good.
One extra detail right here. If they're driving right now, go ahead and drive. I don't take both feet off and let Spencer come fly on top of me and smash me right here. So I keep one foot on the hip so he's driving. One foot can hold him there. And I can easily step over straight to the lockup or triangle setup.
Yeah, good detail right there. So you may land directly in the triangle, but if we land here after the giant killer variation, if we land here and the triangle's not locked up and we're just in the triangle setup position, that's okay. We know what to do from here. Just clear the arm across, foot on the hip, walk away, 1, 2, 3, bite, clamp, go. So it really depends on the situation, the bad guy that you have. Just be aware of what situation you're in and plan accordingly. So we're here, close guard, big guy, very strong, driving the weight into you. From here, pinch the legs, extend away. Hands on the head, foot on the ground, big hip out. Foot on the hip, both feet on the hips. From here, the hands that were on the head can now grab the wrist. Controlling the opponent by the feet on the hips, I retract one leg, step over the shoulder, lock up. From there, we can either go directly to the triangle, or we can do our triangle setup. Clear the arm across, hand on the head, foot on the hip, walk away, bite, lock, go. Any questions on that? Or any angles you need to see? Cool. So let's start in the closed guard, stage 1 of the punch block series. Bad guy, drive your way into the opponent. perform the giant killer variation of the triangle, switch roles. Make sure you're going slow and give feedback to your partner on this one. Okay? Any questions from giant killer variation of the triangle? Okay, so we kind of went through a lot today. Multiple variations of the triangle and the haymaker punch defense. Keep in mind, if the punch is entirely predictable in the haymaker, go ahead and use the haymaker punch defense that we talked about. But if you're a little unsure where the punch is coming from, there's no problem just going with our standard front clinch and then going through the middle, okay? If you haven't had that, don't worry about it. We're going to come back in a future lesson and talk about how to achieve the clinch from the front. Now, the triangle choke is it's a very amazing technique because it allows us to survive on the bottom and to end the fight from the bottom, okay? That's what jiu-jitsu is all about. Now, perfect the technique because it could save your life someday. Keep in mind that the chokes do take time to take effect, particularly with carotid artery chokes. It takes 8 to 15 seconds to render your opponent unconscious. If in that time your opponent has not gone unconscious, that means something's wrong with your technique, okay? Now, keep in mind you don't want to hold it too long because you can eventually cause brain damage and eventually death. So there is a responsibility that you have to have with this move now that you know it. So just understand that there are some physiological things that are taking place when you're doing this choke, so use it wisely, okay? Great class tonight, or today I should say. Wednesday we have class number 8, which is elevator sweep from the guard. Fantastic lesson, hope to see you guys there. Any questions from today? All right, good class, have a good one.